Hello and welcome. I'm Chris Hazeman and this is the Nutrition for Personal Trainers course. In a world of personal training, the difference between success and failure often comes down to perceived value of your services. And for me, nutrition is a standout when it comes to steering my clients towards achieving their goals. Nutrition affects us all, and never before has there been so much confusion about what to eat and what not to eat. This is why I've developed a nutrition course that is specifically targeted at adding value to your product and service offering. It really is a case that you either compete on price or you add more value to your product. And by adding a better understanding of nutrition to your toolbox will certainly add value to your service in the marketplace. I've been involved in the fitness industry professionally now for 20 years, and I've had the experience of working with many of our national sporting teams across the country. I've held positions such as the athletic performance coach for the Brisbane Broncos, through to a development role with the Australian Rugby Union, which saw me working on a weekly basis with the Queensland Reds, New South Wales Waratahs and the ACT Brumbies. I was also a physical skills instructor based at the Queensland Police Service Academy, responsible for the physical and skills development of our Queensland Police recruits. And I've competed at an international level in the sport of MMA, which saw me travelling throughout the world and competing in events such as the UFC well before it was made popular here in Australia. Collectively, with this experience, I hope to bring you what I believe to be the best and most useful breakdown and explanation of nutrition to support you as a fitness professional, your business, and your clients. Once again, I'd like to welcome you, and I hope that you enjoy the course. On successful completion of the basic nutrition course, you'll receive a certificate and 13 CC points. This course covers dietary basics, macronutrients, namely carbohydrates, fats and proteins, reading food labels, pre and post workout meals, popular diets, artificial sweeteners, as well as minerals and vitamins. Dietary analysis is composed of two parts, needs and intake. Optimal nutrition is often referred to as energy balance, meaning the amount of energy in versus energy out. When energy in is greater than energy out, you will gain weight. On the other hand, when energy out is greater than the intake, you lose weight. When intake and output of energy is the same, weight is maintained. So as a general rule, you need to consume a surplus of calories in order to increase body mass, and the opposite applies for reducing body mass. This is consistent with the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only change from one form to another. In simpler terms, the first law of thermodynamics can be expressed by the following equation. Calories in minus calories out equals change in body mass. So the ramifications of this equation on our society are visually evident. When you take in more calories than you expend, the excess energy is stored in the form of body mass, and for a large part of our society, these excess calories end up as fat deposits on our waistline. The difference between whether the additional mass is muscle or fat depends on a host of diet and training related factors. However, in a society that falls victim to advertising and marketing propaganda, sometimes disguised as nutritional education, it's easy to see how a time-poor society has adopted a do-it-for-me approach to their nutrition. This is underpinned with the words burger, fries and Coke, hey, and can you chuck that in my window as I drive past? So as you can see, in a society that is bombarded with food products that lack many of our health-positive nutrients that we need, and are supercharged with the refined sources of energy, namely sugar, it is not hard to see how we have eaten our way into a world of obesity and other dire health-related diseases. With so many influences and variables surrounding our everyday food choices, we simply cannot rely on a mathematical equation to eat our way out of this unhealthy eating cycle that we now face. Education and a real understanding of the effect that each mouthful of food that we consume has on our body is a big step towards combating the current eating culture that many of our clients currently exist in. Let's take a look now at metabolic rate. This refers to how fast and how much you use energy. which can be divided into three components. The first being basal metabolic rate, or BMR. The second, energy for physical activity. The third, thermic effect of food. Let's take a closer look now at each one of these elements. BMR is the energy required for cellular and tissue needs to maintain the physiological functions of the body at rest. Muscular activity contributes slightly to our BMR. However, BMR can chiefly be referred to as the energy the body needs to maintain itself in a sedentary state. Though every individual has a slightly different BMR, the average energy expenditure rate is around 70 calories per hour. Slightly more when we're awake, but slightly less when we're sleeping. There are many factors such as gender, muscle mass, body temperature and age that can affect our BMR. Men usually use more calories than women. The more the lean muscle mass, the higher the BMR. This is also the reason why including hypertrophy-based exercises or programming for our clients could be beneficial to the long-term weight management of our clients. Obviously, the more lean muscle mass our clients develop, the more calories they will use 24/7. BMR decreases with age. BMR, however, is mainly determined by our genetics and general physiological factors. It's important to include the proper nutrients of fats, carbohydrates and protein along with age-appropriate exercise in order to maximize the benefits of our BMR. Let's take a look now at the next element, energy for physical activity. This can increase a person's metabolism due to the moderate and strenuous physical activity. The exact amount of energy this accounts for depends on the physiological cost of the chosen activity. When we move, we need energy for muscle movement, thus creating the cost of activity. How fast we move, how much joint action we require, and how many joints we bring into the activity influence the amount of energy that we spend. The faster you move, generally, the more energy you use, given the same amount of exercise for something that we do slower. For example, running takes more energy than a casual walking session for the same amount of time. Let's now take a look at how we can put this into a practical strategy for our clients. As you can see, by eating smaller and more frequent meals, it's going to be more advantageous to burning calories. Remembering the more times that we eat, the more exercise the body actually has to do, or the more energy it has to expend to deal with the digestion, absorption and metabolism of those foods. Many of the clients that I find when they come to me with their food diaries, I see that their meals are either too big or they have the wrong macronutrients in those meals at the wrong time of day, or simply they're just not eating enough or frequently enough during the day. I like to refer to this as the sumo diet. So let's have a look at how a sumo puts on weight. They will have a large part of that day to where they don't eat, and what they do is they put their body into a state of starvation. So this is a primitive response, and what the body will do in response to that is it will minimize the nutrient window. So we normally have a window which is almost like our default position. It allows this many nutrients or calories to come through to be used now, and it will then put nutrients left and right, or calories left and right, which will be fat stores. So the body has this equilibrium to where it believes is very healthy, dependent on its input of foods or access to foods. So you can see that a sumo will put their body into a state of starvation by limiting the amount of food for a long period of time during the day. And then when they finally sit down to eat, they overload the body with calories. So they've put now this nutrient uptake capability to a minimum. And so you can see now they're going to encourage more calories to go left and right, and they are to fat stores. Of course, this is the objective of a sumo, and that is to be as heavy as they possibly can for the specificity of their sport. And as you can see, many of our clients actually are living in the sumo diet. So by getting our clients to understand the importance of smaller and more frequent meals is a great start to their weight loss journey. Let's now take a closer look at the element thermic effect of food. This is the energy used due to the cost of processing food for storage and use. In other words, it is the energy we expend to process food. This usually refers to digestion, absorption, and metabolism of food. Different macronutrients require different energy levels to process, and this best explains why certain macronutrients are more likely to end up as fat deposits than others. The term thermic effect of food is used to describe the energy expended by our bodies in order to consume by biting, chewing, and swallowing, and process, from digestion, transportation, metabolism, and storage, and we expend energy by simply burning calories. Processing protein requires the most energy amongst the three macronutrients. It is estimated to be around 30% of the calories consumed. Dietary fat, on the other hand, requires the least energy. It is more easily processed and converted to body fat. The thermic effect can be as little as 2 to 3%. And don't forget that fat actually comes at 9 calories per gram, where protein and carbohydrates come at 4 calories per gram. So the energy for processing carbohydrates is somewhere in between protein and fat, and is estimated to be around about 5 to 10%. Your BMR is increased after eating because you use energy for digesting, metabolizing, and absorbing the food. The rise occurs once you start eating and reaches a peak around about 2 to 3 hours upon eating. So as mentioned before, different macronutrients contribute differently to percentage of energy used due to the thermic effect of food. Fat raises our BMR around 3%. Carbohydrates raises BMR about 8%, and protein raises BMR up to 30%. When you consume the same amount of protein, carbohydrate, and fat, protein takes the most energy for metabolizing, followed by carbohydrate and then fat. This is because it takes more energy to metabolize amino acids into fat than to convert glucose into glycogen or transfer absorbed fat into our fat cells. This is to say, protein has the highest thermic effect of food, or fat has the lowest. We've also gone through the strategies of weight management, and that is to have small and frequent meals. So let's summarize this one more time. Whenever you eat, digestion, absorption, and metabolism of food is required. That is to say, every time you eat, you use energy. The more times you eat, the more energy you will spend on the thermic effect of food. However, if you skip meals, there is no thermic effect of food, and thus no energy will be used. This is also why we say that skipping meals will lower your metabolism. So as you can see, not all calories are equal. Although many diet plans are based on a calories in versus calories out approach to managing weight loss, you can see that there are a host of factors that influence whether our body will store those calories or use those calories as energy. If you eat the same amount of calories for protein, fat or carbohydrates, the calories and fat are more likely to end up on your waistline due to the thermic effect of food than that of protein or carbohydrates. The thermic effect of food can contribute to 10% of the body's total calorie expenditure. In other words, if you consume 500 calories, 10% will be burnt off by the thermic effect of food, leaving only 450 calories for cellular and tissue use. This is another important point that our clients must understand, that eating frequent meals with the right macronutrients will go a long way to their weight management. Thank you for taking the time to test drive our Introduction to Nutrition for Personal Trainers course. Today I have shared with you the first 10 slides of what is an information-filled 200-slide presentation on nutrition. Something I guarantee will change the way that you think about nutrition. It will add value to you as a personal trainer, and it will put you as a lead fitness provider in the eyes of your clients. This is only a sample of what fitness industry training have to offer as part of their learning journey for those seeking a qualification in the fitness industry. I look forward to sharing with you much more information, and I live by the philosophy that if you know it well, you can explain it simply. I hope to see you soon.